Hey, are you guys ready for some mind-blowing information? Huh? Are you? Sure. All right. Well, in this particular situation, and this is what we're looking at here, is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Okay, this is another banned book from our beautiful Bible. We're going to go over a few things, like what we find out in here. Well, let's just read. Okay, now it does have the code in it. All right, so it is a viable member of the scriptures, of spiritual scriptures, talking about this higher nature. Okay, and here we find out a little bit about God, more about God, the God part. When he says here that when they say in the Bible the Most High, I know every time we read the Bible, we call him Father, we're calling him the Lord, we're calling him the Most High, and whatever. But that Most High means that there's someone lower. So this would be the highest of everybody. So there is something lower than these things, and that's how we wind up on Earth when we are going after the lower. This idea, business of taking on something lower, like the wife. This is in the beginning, when the fallen angels are, which are you and me, are going to hang out with Father for a while, which is Satan. We're out there and we bonded together. We're all one group of people, so that there's not just one that gets in trouble, but everyone on earth is this trespass against God. All right. And the trespass that he decides for us is religion, all right? Regardless of where it shows up on earth, okay? Because these are all the same. What's on the outside is one thing, but it does say something on the inside. We're going to be talking about that too, all right? This is a beautiful text that we should listen to for a little while. At least go and read it, go and find it on your own, okay? But this is 3 days after the crucifixion of Christ, all right? And he says, he's in the situation where um, what we know happens after this is when they all get this the fire and stuff like that, the Pentecost. This is 3 days after when he shows himself to the group. All right, and then here they just yada yada over it. They say the disciples were gathered at the Mount of Olives, and here we said, and when he had quieted their doubts, he began to teach them as follows. And he's talking about, brothers and sisters, long have I wished to make known to you deeper truths, which you must know if your souls are ever to find salvation. But till now your ears were prevented from hearing them. Okay, this is what we talk about. This is what I teach. All right. Slumber. All right. But your ears were prevented from hearing them, for your hearts were one with that world unto which I have just died and which I have been forever raised. And the minds and your minds have been raised with me, so that they are now able to comprehend what you could not abide hearing before. I have wrested you from the grasp of the archon of this world, that's the maker of this world, and that you may hear the words a disciple ought to hear from his teacher, and what a mortal should hear from his God. Okay, so these are instructions. That's what 1 always is. All right, chapter 1, and there was 6, 5. There was 5 of these things. So the body that they are talking about, number 5 on the end here, it says, I have wrestled you out of this maker's place. All right, this is actually the soul. Jesus is coming and he's talking to Mary Magdalene. Okay, this is what's happening. Is she has a vision. She says, and Peter grew bold and asked the Lord, tell us concerning the Father who he is, and why did he send you? And Jesus answered, Simon, you are blessed. But you do not suppose you know, for you do not suppose you know that which must be a mystery to all flesh, right? For my Father is not the maker of this world, of the world of matter which you see around you, a world that is filled with death and despair, but which, seeing with the fever of the flesh and its desire, mortals deem full over every delight, comfort, and so waste their lives in pursuit of illusions. No, so he's saying God is not the maker of this world around here. He's not. This is all full of death. You think my Father's involved in this? All right, we do. We did. We do. We think that that's what it is, but this is someone else, something lower than God made the earth. Okay, and God, this is the earth that God makes in His image. This is our brain, the higher and lower image, but the higher and lower conscious that is. But that God did not make the earth as you read in the Bible. As you read in the Bible, it's conscious that God is making. Okay? And then down here we get this idea, my Father is exalted high above this one. He says, hence, He is called the Most High God. For no one speaks of anything as the highest unless there are others below it. Okay? And we're going to read number 3. It says, and you mortals are partly His creations, in that He has fashioned the body from unclean foulness. But your souls He has stolen from the light world of my Father. That's on number 2, okay? That's all right, somewhere. With them He has imparted to your flesh bodies an appearance of life, which is but a shadow of the life that you knew when you were up with the Most High. Here you abide in ignorance, never knowing either your origin or your destination or destiny. That's your beginning or ending. Remember, I'm the beginning, I'm the Alpha and the Omega, not knowing where you came from or what's going on, when's the end of times. So this is not knowing your destiny. And it's in 4:5, it says, and for lack of that knowledge you perish and are reborn into new bodies time and again, so long as the way out be hidden from you. So that is why the Father has sent me into the world, okay? That I might make known to you these truths, okay? And let's go on to 4, because 4 would represent the first 4 of these worlds, the first 4 going across there, okay? And that's how we decipher our Bible, and then we're going to move on down the road, okay? Andreas asked, which I have no idea who that is, okay? O Savior, what shall we then make of these things you said to the multitude, which differ not so very greatly from what you have heard from the scribes? And the Savior answered, let them be, O Andreas. Some of them may yet discover that they harbor the spark of light within them. And then they will seek what I tell you now. Others cannot. But my Father loves them, and He has bidden me to impart to them such wisdom as they can grasp to mitigate the harshness of Him who created this world and gave the commandments to the legislator. The legislator is your heart, a governor. You will find nothing false in them, and yet they are mute to the salvation of your spirits. That's the hidden side of our Bible. That's the spiritual side of our word. talking about the scripture and the scribes. Is it that what you're saying now, it differs not so much from what the scribes say? That's because it's giving you the story, it's giving you the way out, but it's only giving you a hint. So it's very mute to our salvations of the spirit. That's what we teach here on my channel. Okay, so let's move on down the road here. All right, we've already found that God did not create the earth that we are living on. He creates the consciousness that we are living in. All right, some kind of a matter situation bothers us, is what's making us, and something, because that's the male side of our mind. It's the lower side of everything, this beta conscious that we talk about, the earth conscious, earth frequencies and things like that. And he says it's an appearance of life, and we know that the Mayans say that this is all an illusion in front of us. Okay, and so what we find is that this the story of Jesus, he says, I didn't come into this world to see what he says. What about the death and the sufferings and stuff? That's in here on number 5. Number 5 is about the body. 5 is a chapter about 5 is about the body parts itself. And so it goes like this. It goes in this situation. It says, what about that you're suffering and all that business? And he says, and the Savior answered him, and he says, I suffered and I didn't suffer. All right. He says, I died, but I didn't die. All right. And he says, and for all the designs of the evil archons, some of them may yet discover that they harbor. Oh, wait a minute. For the designs of the evil archons wrought was to free me of my shameful clothing of matter, to get rid of the skin, to break bread. All right. I assumed for the sake, I had assumed for the sake of my sojourn in this world. All right. That's so you can sojourn, so you can go into this place. He's not this, our body. Yeah, I mean, he's sojourning. He's inside this place. All right. Inside of us. To see this again. For long and long I bowed you to keep my identity a secret, but the demon powers knew, and finally they had me crucified. All right. What it means is, Father, once you started reading this, he says, then they had me crucified, but they didn't know that they were actually helping to ascend me. That's what this whole point is about, because you don't die. And no, he doesn't really suffer, but then yet he suffers, but then he dies, but he doesn't really die, It's just walking through the shadow of death. All right. This is what the death is in this. It's just so really cool, because it's just symbolism. It's a way of telling you how this happens. All right. So in 5, we get this idea that finally knew that they crucified me, but they did not suspect that they would be the very cause of my deliverance. All right. That's the idea. You don't realize that you are the one that brings the deliverance of this Christ into this world, that you are the one, because it's what brings you to life, that Christ is in you, the Son of Man is in you. And it says here, down here, goes this here, and the reason I suffered these indignities was for the sake of those without true spirits. Because remember, we don't have Father. We don't have Mother with us. So that's the spiritual side of it. We don't have true spirit. So he suffered these things. Yeah. That's the idea that the seed inside of us is this suffering business. This is you are saved through your faith. All right. You have good faith. All right. That means there's something good about you in there. You've been doing your works. You've been reading and listening and honoring the Bible, but you haven't done a goddamn thing that he's told you to do. You haven't honored mom and dad, and you ain't walked away yet. But all you've been doing is all this trespassing business. That's what happens. All right. That's our trade-off. And down here we find, and it finds here that being lifted up, I might draw them away from the Creator. This is being you're lifted up because the creator, which is you, all right, you're the builder. You're the builder who rejects the stone in the first parts of our lives. You are the builder. You are Father. You're the creator. You are the living Father. Okay? That's you, the living Father. The Father who sent me. And Father's words are the letter side of the Bible. Jesus's word, Jesus's gospel is the spiritual side of the Bible. Okay? Father is the outside of us. Our soul, and Jesus is the inside of us. It's in the midst. And it says here at the very end of this business, it says, and bring them within the hearing of the news of me that you will proclaim. Many of them shall be called, few are chosen. All right. We're going to move on down further down the road here. Okay. What happens is these are things that Jesus has imparted to all of these guys. But then they started to ask, they wanted to know, they're a little upset because, hey, what is he doing with this woman? All right. The woman in the bunch, she's the outsider. And in the situation down here where we get Thomas 14, this is on 9. 9 is a conscious number. It's really funny. Then Mary rose to her feet, saluted them all, which means she gave them all a kiss. I think it's a right and a left side kiss. And spoke to her brothers, says, stop weeping, do not mourn or waver, for his favor will accompany you to protect you. This is his favor. His will accompany you. This is that idea of the grace part. You're not going to be all that way. You're not going to be alone. There's, when you're ready, I think there's like a pull the stop out type of situation. I'm in love, All right. Anyway, so up in here at number 9, when she's out there with them, when he turned us all male, that means whenever they've all are in the midst. She's in there, and she's male. She's calling herself. When he transformed us all into men, all right, but that's also being transformed into children. Okay, Mary said that she moved their hearts. Okay, we're going to move on down here now. 13 is a really cool one, and because this is long. It's been a while since I've done a really long one. All right, so origin and destiny, we know that is the beginning, where you came from, and your ending. This is what causes you not to know and being ignorant, all right? We have this interesting situation that shows up in this here as being going here to sleep. Now, 12 is interesting. 12 is usually the intervention number because it means 3, those 3 things, okay? And it's saying this idea that on this one here, he says, on number 1, and withal, he showed me in a vision. This is from her. Okay, this is from Mary. He showed me in the vision of a soul of the redeemed. Okay, the one knowing of his origin and destination. That's that guy who's just gone into meditation, killed himself, killed something in order to do this. So watch this. Okay. The soul arose as a spark from a campfire into the cold night. Having sloughed off the smothering body of gross flesh, it continued to rise until at length the soul came to the first of the powers, even him who is named darkness, who spoke thus to him, says, proceed no further, you transgressor. And the soul answered, why? And what have I sinned against you? The darkness replied, in that my kingdom is a kingdom of darkness, and no one with lights in the torch, and no one who lights the torch of knowledge is permitted here. Now let us extinguish your painful light, and all may return to peaceful sleep of ignorance. That's 6. Douse that light. And the soul answered, No, O darkness, but those who slept your sleep do so only because they are first ignorant of your guile. But of this the Savior has warned me, and thus did it elude the power of darkness, rejoicing to be free from another nature, that of worldly ignorance. Okay, this is just the beginning of, this was 12, all right, the representing 12. This is it here. But he's also, this is darkness. So the first one is earth. This is black, red, pale, and fire, all right, or white. So what we get is Father is the mind. This is the heart. This is the moon. This is the body. And this is our visual, the spiritual part of us. That's the spiritual side of us, okay? This is what they're talking about, the natures. Those are 4 natures, okay, that he has to go through whenever he's going into meditation, okay? That's what he has to do, all right? This is the ones. This is the first guy that he had that stops him and says, hey, wait. Nobody carries a torch of knowledge through here. Let's go back to sleep. Let's put things back into ignorance. Oh, come on. Let's do it. All right? Do as I say. And he says, He says, no. The Savior has warned me. Okay. On 13 down here we go. And after a time, that soul passed into the sphere of the archon of desire. That's number 2. This is what we want. This is desire. This is what's up and down. It's the heart. It's what got us in our trouble. Everything, all this evil in this comes from the heart. All right? And he goes in here and it says, the archon of desire, which causes the natures to mix, and which seeks to awaken in the fleeing soul a fondness for those false delights it left behind on earth, so that it might return there. And desire himself was there in an instant, speaking to it, saying, who are you? And whence come you? And the soul said, I am the seed of the living Father, and do not belong to this world. Hinder me not, as I seek but to return to the place whence I came. Thus he spoke to it. And desire said to the soul, I never saw you descending, but now I behold you ascending. What makes you lie? You are mine. The soul replied, saying, I saw you, but you did not see me or notice me. You saw nothing but my vesture, and you did not know me. When it said these things, these words, it fled away in great joy. Next, it encountered the third power. The third power, which is named ignorance. That's the third one. It's coming on. It's on its way. All right? Because this is a traveling situation. You know, there's 40 days. This is a traveling situation. You're going from the west. That's the west mind. That's the left side of our brain. And you're traveling through the emotions, which is the north, or north, N-O-R-T-H, north. You're going through the body, which is the south, so E-U-T-H. This is a physical nature. It's our emotional nature that we have to accomplish. And then the final is where we're going to is east. That is EAST, the sunrise. Sunrise. This is where white comes in, or light. And over here, this is the sunset. This is where darkness is. All right. All right. So in the situation we are over here on down in here in 8, this third power, which is named ignorance, it interrogated the soul and it said, and where do you think you are going? Do you deserve to enter heaven? In the chains of wickedness, you are captive. You are prisoner. Dare not judge me. And the soul replied, and who are you to judge me so? I have not condemned you in truth. All right, it says, I was chained to the flesh, though now I am free. I was not recognized, but I have come to recognize that the all is being deconstructed. Both heavenly elements and the earthly ones. This is the higher and lower mind coming together. There's been some change here. This is change. There's big change coming on. All right, now this is the idea. There's thunderings, earthquakes. All right, well, let's see what we get here. We get both elements, heavenly and whatever. So, anyways, it does say that somewhere in here that there's some that it trembles the whole body. All right, shakes the whole body. But this is the idea that the all is being deconstructed. That means that the lower mind, and stuff like that is being brought higher, and the higher mind is being brought into play. That's mother. That's the whole point of these stories, is to become corrected and to have this, to be justified. All right. Justified means to be straightened out. Okay. All right. So we'll go a little further on this, and it says here, it says that on number 12, 12 is going to be the intervention. Okay, this idea that's because it represents a 3. 12 goes, when the soul had triumphed over the third power, it ascended and beheld the fourth, which assumed 7 likenesses. The first of the likenesses is darkness, the second, desire, the third is ignorance, the fourth, terror of death. All right. The fifth is the reign of the flesh, and the sixth is the deluded wisdom. And on number 7, of course, the Lord's Day, that idea of the Lord's Day, the wrath, right? Fire and brimstone, right? Is the vengeance of wisdom. Because we're stuck on those other sides. We're all stuck on this side of that fence right here. Right here. There's a gate right there. That's the gate. And when we get over into the 7th, my goodness, you're in trouble. But all of this is about you. This is everything. You're ignorant of connecting with God. It's all about desires. You live in darkness. This is 1, 2, 3. That's what these are about. This is the heavenly spheres that you have to go through. All right. And this is the last ones over here. Let's run them off real fast. Okay. And it says here, the first of the likenesses is darkness, and the second, okay, blah, 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 blah. And it says here, the reign of flesh and deluded wisdom and the vengeance of wisdom. Okay, so that was on number 13, which is 4. That's actually representing all of this. All right. 14 represents 5, which is our body. These are the 7 wrathful powers. They questioned the soul. Whence you came from, murderer? Where are you headed? Space traveler. That's what they're talking about. Because this is where space is. When we talk about where are you going at, this business in here is the Vimana. when it talks about, those spaceships that are leaving Earth and going up into heaven and space, like stuff like that. That's the symbolism behind the Kundalini. The energy of the Kundalini is that it's what brings you from Earth into heaven. This is the mode of travel, and that's found right here, right? It's inside of us, but in our stories, it's right here. And over here, we're looking at it. Once we finally over here, this is the seven wrathful powers. All right, we're finding out all kinds of stuff I'd never heard of before. And it says in here, it's a little, these are the seven wrathful powers. They question the soul when she came from murderer. Okay, well, let's see what he says. Where are you headed for, traveler? Number 15, the body. For its part, the soul answered. This is 5. This represents 6. 15 represents 6. It goes, for its part, it says. The soul answered, saying, what held me captive has indeed been killed. And what enveloped me has been defeated. And my desire has been extinguished. And ignorance has expired. That's all of these again. This is the 4. Ignorance. All of this stuff has expired. My days, my time's gone. I know my beginning and my end now. We also know the ending. This is why we said, we got our mom now. We got this wisdom going on. Got this God stuff going down. We go on and says, number 16, which is a 7. All right, says, in the midst of a world, it's you, in the midst of the world, in the midst of a world, I was set free from a world and freed from a pattern of death. I received deliverance from a heavenly prototype. Deliverance from the chain of oblivion, which passes away. And number 17, henceforward, I shall win my way to that repose where no one speaks of time, of season, age. And after those words, she was quiet. You guys, this is really, 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 really cool. All right. There's lots of wonderful information that we've learned from this. There's a business of the soul and how the soul is the one that's, that's important to us, that we set free, that we're responsible for this. We don't know this. The joke is that, it's tough that the flesh has to depend on the soul. And it says, oh my God, sorry for the soul that has to depend on the flesh, because we've been told not, we've been put under a particular kind of slumber so that we don't know these things. And here in this particular gospel, it comes pretty close, but it still doesn't just necessarily tell you how to come home. But, it did show you these particular ways, these things. It's very mystical, okay, very Gnostic. And you know what a Gnostic is? It's just knowledge, someone with knowledge. And it's the special knowledge. And it's secret of some kind because it's hidden, all right? So the idea is that we are learning about the hidden side of our Bible, the spiritual side of our Bible, which is what Jesus comes to teach us. If he goes with the eyes and the ears, we'll be able to see it and hear it, all right? And he'll fix that heart of ours to go from death, from black. This is what their idea is, to deliver you from this place. And it's just interesting also that we finally we learned that you are the living Father when we hear that you're the living Father. We've always heard that God is of the living and not of the dead. But that's the G-O-D when mother comes in, because that person of the dead is Father. That's Satan. He's the one who creates around dead people. Okay. But God creates around people that are alive. He comes and hangs out with people that are alive. And when they are alive, and forevermore. I'm interested to find out what this place is. You know, this place that we were stolen from, where our souls were stolen from, because it's really our flesh ain't going anywhere. But that soul of ours is ours. He's you. He's probably you, me, somewhere in there, someone. I don't know. I can't say what it is. I really don't. It's a male energy. It's probably just a light of some kind. All right. So we have these wonderful ways of doing it, you know, and we hear when we get the beginning idea with when we're listening to the story of Moses, and when the stories are beginning with him being born, and that he's put into a basket and he is taken away, and he has a fake mom who is his mother, all right, and she just happens to be a queen. All right, so that's great. This is, you know, setting up the story again where that we're following the word, and it's a foreign situation, and he's a situation where he's, you know, bound like you and me into doing that first part of our lives on this bad guy side. All right, and then we have to kill him, and then we hear the story of him. He actually kills an Egyptian, and then he takes off. All right, and on this run, the first things he does is he runs into a bunch of women, you know, outside of those two witnesses that saw him kill something. Okay, those two witnesses. The first these first two things. This the sun and the moon. These are the stars, and this is heaven. But this is the idea that these are your two witnesses. These are the two things that get destroyed: the flesh and your heart. This is what gets changed. All right, the feelings, the business, your consciousness. It's just beautiful. I love this. All right, so this is more confirming situations, talking about what about our slumber, and about how you know, the writings in here, the situation where the writings of the Bible itself, well, gives you the idea, but kind of hints on things, but does not, but is very mute on your salvation, and that's what the story is about. This gospel is to fill in that space that may or may not be, you know, in this situation. It's about traveling, going on the inside. All right. It's very interesting indeed. Is there anything else interesting on this page? Yes, everything. So you just read on this, and I think the idea is pretty simple. Saluted them and saying peace. So they collapsed in tears. Simon, the creatures exist both side by side. Yes, no, I'm not going any more on this, you guys. It's a wonderful text. We're going to come back maybe and take one or two of these play things apart and decipher them one on one. Okay, but this is a whole new set of worlds that we have to deal with. Okay, and so it's beautiful. All right, it shows that this is very much a part of what God intended us to learn, or have left it behind for us to read. Okay, how beautiful it is. Okay, the only female gospels. All right, and the only female in these stories. Okay, that have to do with his disciples. Okay, it's kind of cool. I'll chat with you soon. I hope you're well. Hope you got something out of this. Today is art class day. Gotta go to work. Hello.